Hi everyone, this is Samantha with the Colorado Housing Coalition for another video update. With me today, I do have our incoming president or president-elect, Aaron Blazes. Aaron, if you don't mind just giving us a little bit of a blurb about your history with our wonderful organization.
Yeah, thanks, Samantha. I've got to serve on the legislative committee for 2 years working. The first bill I really worked on was the one we all love, 241098, and really kind of got passionate about it as these bills were affecting our business, like most of us. So got to do that for a couple of years, then was asked to be the president-elect, and now just love serving on this board and really getting involved with the CHC.
Perfect. Well, we're definitely excited to have you on, both as a member of the legislative team and then also as our board and our incoming president. We hope that you're going to do a lot of good things for our organization. We're very excited. So basically today what I want to discuss is some testimony events that we had, plus our membership reception that we had over these last couple weeks. We kind of wrap up February and then also give a little insight for our members of what we expect to happen over the next 2 weeks. So I believe you were in attendance at least one of our February testimony events.
Yeah.
But well, I'm sure everyone's already heard, but we have really good momentum so far this year. Two really wonderful things have happened for us. Number one, the vacancy property tax bill that we discussed in our last video update, 1036, did die completely in committee. We had our members
Awesome.
there. It was a wonderful turnout from people opposed to the bill on all levels, and it did die in committee. But then also a surprise win, a huge win for rental housing in Colorado. 1047, the eviction suppression bill, was completely killed in committee as well. You were attending. Kind of what were your takeaways from that?
And that one was really awesome because there was more than 40 people who showed up to testify, and there was only two panels, two groups of around four, three or four who were in support of the bill, and everybody else was against it. And um, the the CHC members really came out in force, and I think did a really, really good job, not only of talking about how suppressing evictions and really adding burdens to the process would make it much more difficult for us, but also humanizing the mom and pop landlord. There was a lot of testimony about how the the small owner operators with one to two or three properties are struggling under the current regulations, and adding that is causing people to flee. And we've said that a lot to committee people over the last few years, this being my third session, and it has like completely fallen on deaf ears. This year it felt different. There was more sympathy from a bipartisan group of people in the committee for hearing about landlords, some pushback from places we haven't seen before. And I think a lot of that's been due to the work of the CHC and our lobbyists for just getting our interest out there, showing that we are not the multinational huge corporations that can absorb any risk. We're neighbors and friends and teachers and plumbers and electricians really trying to build a business, and it's been really affected. And I felt like that message was heard, and so it was really exciting. And I'm excited to kind of build on that momentum and have more people like hear that message and go. So like I don't want to take the wind and kind of sit on that. I want to push forward and have us really work to take some momentum from that and keep getting that message out.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It was a very interesting committee to listen to. It was an interesting committee to testify in front of. I have never heard a friendly committee ask so many questions on the opposition as this committee did. Even people who are committee members who ultimately voted yes on the bill, they did have concerns. They were for as friendly as they were actually really harsh on the bill, which gives me hope that maybe next year we'll see better crafted bills. Obviously, legislators really do care about their issues. They care about their bills and their legislation, and they do want to see it ultimately succeed. So I'm hopeful that maybe we'll start seeing, a little bit better of a crafting process. Maybe some more opposite or engagement with opposition to try and create better bills that we won't hopefully have to fight as hard
Yeah.
to kill.
Yeah,
But
I would love for really any of the writers of these bills or the representatives or senators or the legislators who are crafting them to bring us into the process early so that because there shouldn't be tenant-friendly legislation. It should be housing-friendly legislation and one that promotes a system of justice and care as we're trying to work on affordability and improving housing in Colorado. I think all of those things are extremely important to do. And if we can be involved before the 11th hour to say, hey, let's think about it also from this perspective so that, yeah, the bills can go through with really a lot better consensus behind it for both landlords and tenants.
mhm. So, speaking of communication with our legislators, we had our legislative reception, which is an annual event that we put on to try and get with legislators, get in front of legislators over, some good nibbles, some good food, and if you like it, some drinks. You were there, I was there. It was in Denver, just last week. Um, what were your thoughts about that event as well?
Yeah, I thought the event went off really well. The It was amazing the attendance because we had a couple of competing events happening as well as some committees that stayed in late as they are often want to do. Um, but we were still able to have some legislators come and get some just increased face time and increased presence with people who we've may have talked to before, but now it's breaking bread and having an hour-long conversation and really kind of understanding. So I think it was a great event, great venue, real close to the Capitol, and yeah, really enjoyed being a part of that.
I agree. It was nice to kind of talk to people in, just a very conversational way. We're really friendly people. We're not antagonistic, especially when we're not in committee. We'll talk to anyone who wants to listen. We'll talk to anyone who doesn't want to listen about our issues, which is why we make such a good advocacy group. Our members are very passionate about this. If
Yeah,
you guys were unable to attend this year, I would strongly encourage that you kind of keep it top of mind as we go. Well, it's a long way away, 10 months from now, but as we get into next year, I would encourage you guys, if you are curious about it, if you don't, if you're not sure how to approach your legislator outside of anything with our organization, go to that event. It's very low key, very kind of relaxed and friendly. It's just a chit chat over, not even dinner. It was all like standing kind of hors d'oeuvres, finger food kind of. So very, very low key, low pressure. So if you're at all interested in maybe getting to know some other people or getting to know some legislators, that's a great first event to attend.
for sure. And if I could give one quick note, just it's not necessarily on the that reception, but and I won't say the name of the senator who was attended, but I went to a town hall with this particular senator in the fall, and when I introduced myself, I had never spoken to him before. When I introduced myself, he specifically mentioned that landlord constituents were approaching him about the length of eviction and kind of the scam savvy tenant who was taking advantage of the system. And he was having a lot of constituents talking to him about the struggles. And that's really one of the things that pushed home for me, not just the need for the broad scope lobbying that we do at the CHC, but also in your district, whether it's House or Senate district, talk to your legislator. Even if it's just an email or a call in the off season, just bring up some of the things because the more we're heard in those moments, the more they realize how this stuff is affecting us. And it's one thing to show up in these bigger events and the lobbying, and it's all really good. But there are people, and you're a person that they either elected them or is a constituent, and that really makes a difference for when you bring up those concerns. It doesn't have to be a full-time job, but just a quick conversation, I think really makes a difference.
Yep. So now, as we kind of move into March, it's literally around the corner. We're filming on the 27th of February. Happy Friday, everyone. So we do have a ton of things planned for these next couple weeks. We have three bills being heard in committee in their first committee over the next 2 weeks. Plus, we have our annual Day on the Hill. It's our second Day on the Hill event. We are very excited about it this year. So just to kind of look forward at the bills that we are going to be speaking to over the next 2 weeks. On the 3rd of March, literally around the corner, we will have our first committee hearing on House Bill 261196. It's called Tenant Data Information. I think we've only sent like one update around this bill. Essentially, what it is a credit reporting bill. There's a couple other small things, but mostly it would force housing providers in Colorado to report positive rent payments, basically on-time rent payments, positive credit reporting to at least one credit bureau if your tenant opts into it. There are some limitations. There is a small landlord exemption, although we're trying to fix that and make it a little better. So stay tuned for that. At this point in time, we're not doing a full like all hands on deck call to action yet. We are still behind the scenes working with the legislators, the bill proponents, things like that to try and get our concerns heard and see if we can get some amendments going. If we don't see any action on this one, this will be one that we're going to want all hands on deck and just to make sure that our concerns are heard, but not quite yet. So just stay tuned on this one. We're hopeful that we'll have some more good news after next week's committee hearing, but we'll keep everyone informed as we move through that. And then the week after, Tuesday the 10th, we have three different things going on all at the same time. We have two bills being heard in committee. The first one is probably our biggest bill left that we are, at least so far, that we are fighting. House Bill 1106. This is eviction protections for residents. Aaron, do you want to kind of tell us what that one does and why we don't like it?
Yeah, there's a lot that this does, and I'll just give a bit of a thumbnail because I'm not specifically working on this until the we're ready to testify. But this um, really changes the amount of evictions that could be heard in a court at a time. So with the increase of evictions, it would create a bottleneck so that the number of hearings that can happen on a given day would be limited. So that would increase the length of time that evictions happen. And then it would limit evictions to the actual physical eviction with the sheriff removing. It couldn't happen in below a certain temperature or above a certain temperature or during certain kinds of weather. And as we all know, Colorado, the only weather we have is abnormal. So none of us really want to have to play that weather wheel. Um, and there are other things too, but top to bottom, this is just really a bad bill. And one thing that gives us hope is it is heard in front of the same committee that voted down the last eviction bill, so the eviction suppression bill. So that is something to get encouragement from, but it's also something where we're going to really need to have our ducks in a row with how we are testifying and how we show up.
Mm-hmm. I agree. This one is bad top to bottom, like you said. I would just add to that the way the bill is introduced, it strikes the current requirement for an appeals bond. So if a tenant or a landlord or a housing provider thinks that their eviction hearing was ruled incorrectly, obviously everyone in the country has the right to appeal a court decision. Right now, Colorado's appeal system, at least as far as eviction cases go, do require that the party pay an appeals bond up front. Typically, if you're a tenant, that essentially means you start paying your rent to the court. The court can then award that to the property owner as kind of the appeals process goes through. So it's essentially the tenant still has to pay rent while they seek an appeal on their case. This bill would strike that completely, which then just opens the floodgates to all sorts of unnecessary appeals that are only used to buy time. So this is, like Aaron said, one that we're we're definitely looking at it very, very closely. Um, we will very probably in the next week or so be sending out a call to action on this one for at the very least to reach out to committee members, to reach out to your legislator about this one. Just put it on everyone's radar because it is a fairly technical bill. We may not be seeking as much testimony as we would on, for example, last year's jury trials bill, right? Because that one was just equally as bad, but this is a lot more technical as far as the things that it changes in the court system. But it is on our radar. It's something that we are working very hard against. We're completely opposed to this bill. So we'll see how it goes. And then there's one more bill being heard on the 10th. This is a brand new bill, just in the last little bit. It's House Bill 261284. It has to do with allowances for tenant utility billing. I know, but don't we have two bills already in the works for this? 1090 last year and then 1013 this year. I agreed, absolutely. It's also a sub-meter bill. So there's a lot more to it. We are still deciding on our position as of today. We don't quite know how the CHC is going to fall on this one. There are some things in it that we don't care about. None of us are builders. Adding sub-meters is not necessarily a bad thing for properties. It does give you a better control over your water usage, for example. But there are certain allowance or certain requirements in this bill, such as, for example, a flat 10% discount on all on main meter back bill for your tenants. So if you split your bill, your specifically your water bill, regardless of if you have common areas, how many common areas you have, there's a flat 10% discount requirement before you go and split that bill back. So things like that are definitely things that we are concerned about, cautious of. But this is also being heard in committee on 310. And then lastly, our annual Day on the Hill, our second annual Day on the Hill, is also scheduled for March 10th. So we really do want to get a bunch of people out there, a bunch of people involved. How we expect the event to go as of right now is we will meet early in the legislative or in the Capitol cafeteria. Probably we'll start meeting about 7:30. We will be up and running by 8. Don't worry, we'll have coffee and some light breakfast, muffins, donuts, something like that for everyone. That way you can wake up that last little bit when you get there. We do have a legislative sponsor, and he will be there chit chat with us. We'll try and do like a little Q&A session of what to expect. We'll do a brief tour. Here's the Senate side, here's the House side, here's kind of what to expect. We'll probably have little cards that you fill out if you want to get your senator or your legislator rather, out from floor work to talk to you. Maybe some of us will go to the floor, get some pictures, things like that. All in all, it'll be a really, really cool event. Even if you're not interested in any of that, and you can still come and see how the legislative process works. We could all sit and listen to the floor work on the House or floor work on the Senate before everyone breaks for committees. We will do a little bit of a photo op just to show you, hey guys, we were there. Send that out to members as well. And then after that, basically the event will be done, but at that point we will be going into testimony on our two bills that are going on. So if you've ever been curious about the legislative process internally, like what it looks like, what it feels like to testify, what it feels like to attend a testimony event, this is a great event for you. Come, we really do want to get we want boots on the ground. We want people there who are, even if you don't know what to say, come anyway, experience it. We do want to show up in force specifically against 1106, even if we don't have as many people testifying. But it'll still be a really good event to kind of get your feelers out there and
Yep.
just learn the process.
Yeah, very excited for the event. Attended last year's and it was great. And we're building this organization, like building the plane while it's flying. So we've learned some stuff from last year and excited to make it bigger and better this year. And excited for a bunch of participation and then also getting to testify. A quick note on the testimony as well. If you're not able to make that event, and again, would definitely encourage you to come down and be part of that. But if you're not able to, it is really easy to sit in on testimony. the on the day that we were testifying about the eviction suppression bill, I sent the link to my wife, and she was able to open it up and just watch all the CHC members, some proponents of the bill, the ways that the whole committee engaged with it, and get just a feel for that process. And I would encourage anybody who is a part of this organization, if they're not able to get to the Day on the Hill, click on that link at whether it's for one of our bills or something else, just to kind of see how the process works. Because it's really, we have a really unique system for forming laws and taking things, and I think it allows for a lot of citizen involvement. And before 3 years ago, I had no idea how it went, and it's very cool to kind of get to be a part of the process. So, would also encourage, if you're not able to do the Day on the Hill, to click in, get more involved, see how that goes.
Yep, absolutely. There's if you like politics at all, if you're interested in any sort of piece of legislation, there's nothing more entertaining than watching either like a bill in committee just to see what people say for it, what people say against it, all of that. Some of the stories are just absolutely heartbreaking. Some of them are so like made up to be the point, like it's just laughable. Nothing will, like, as a property manager, nothing will get like your blood up faster than some of these tenant stories. You're like, no, but that's already illegal. This bill won't fix that anyway. So it's an entertaining kind of like all you need is popcorn and you've got dinner and a movie, dinner and a show. But also to that same point, if you ever want to listen into a hearing or like a second read or something where all of the bills are in debate in front of the entire legislative body, either the House or the Senate, um, that is also essentially live streamed. And so it's worth following along. It's worth looking at and attending some of these events. You can do it if you just want to listen. There's an audio only link. There is a video link. So it's definitely fun, definitely interesting. You'll feel much more engaged with the process and kind of know how everything works. Because, like I said, it's very entertaining. Get your popcorn out. It's worth the show. So, um,
Yeah, and you can find those links through just the Colorado General Assembly website, the leg.colorado.gov, and you can click on a bill, you can click on the committee, you can click on any of those things, and it'll eventually you'll get to. They did retool their website, and it's much easier this year than it was in years past. But you can get into those video live streams really easy, and you're literally a fly on the wall in the session, so it's great.
yep. Okay. I think that does it for my updates. And do you have anything else you want to let our members know?
I don't think so. Just come to the Day on the Hill, March 10th. Join us, and excited to be celebrating a win. And we've got to keep that momentum going. Stay involved with just 2.5 months left of session. So
Yep. Well, then I guess my wrap up will basically be just like it was last time. Send this to all of your friends who are also in the housing sphere. We do need you guys' help. I everyone asks for money. Money's very tight nowadays. But if you care at all about our industry, if you care at all about any of this, if you want to help us make bad legislation better, if you want to help us try and fight all of these really, really horrible bills, we do need your help. The easiest way is just go make a one-time donation through our website. You can email any of us on the board. Just respond to any of our myriad emails that we have been sending out over these last 2 months. You talk to any of us at the Day on the Hill. Just yeah, whatever. One-time donation is huge. Become a member. If you want to send this to someone who isn't currently a member, just the more members we have, the more of a presence we have, the more of a bargaining chip we have. We're not the apartment association. We're not the Colorado Association of Realtors. We're small. We're grassroots. We really are mom and pop, or we try and be a voice for mom and pop landlords who don't have that representation anywhere else. So if you know of someone who, like I said, if they're a housing provider, if they just don't kind of know what's going on, feel free to send them to us, send this video around. Anything you guys can do, it just helps us succeed more at the Capitol, which makes
yep,
everything better for everyone. So
absolutely. And on that note, the it can feel like not as urgent when we're not fighting as terrible of bills as we've seen the in last sessions, but some of the reason that we are not fighting that is because of our work. So it's every bit as important this year as it has been in years past to keep funding the CHC and its efforts moving forward.
Well, Erin, thank you so much for your time today. Everyone who made it this far in the video, thank you so much for your engagement. Thanks for clicking on it. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We hope to see you all on Tuesday, March 10th for a day on the Hill.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam.
Bye.